Well, Charles, professional jackass Mayor Eric Adams has figured out the cause of the crime problem.
What's that?
Well, he said that New Yorkers like you and me who are filming, we're creating a dangerous situation. It's not all these people
Who are actually
selling
climbing
drugs
away.
in the park and
Not the criminals.
riding bikes where you're not allowed to and shaking people down for money. It's not them, it's us.
Well,
So we're not even filming because Kodak discontinued film manufacturing in 2013. We're video recording.
That's true. Well, so here we are. Let's just wait for a second because I want to tell a brief story. And before I do that, I want to thank the art department for Mrs. Duncefire, which I got to say, I mean, it's past the days when you'd be talking either about a family member or, let's say, in high school or college. Did you see what Professor so-and-so said today? I mean, I remember at Horace Mann, I'm not going to say who it was, but there was a language professor who was this notorious drunk, you know, and you'd think that he reeked of alcohol in the classroom. And
I thought that's every teacher in high school.
in particular, the driver's ed, right?
Yeah.
But nothing could go
Gym.
wrong there. But so I remember there were some people, not a lot of kids would live right near Horace Mann, but there were a number. And I remember I was like staying overnight with one of them, and we walked back towards his apartment, and there we saw this guy, this professor or teacher, stumbling out of a bar. And that's basically what Biden did yesterday and today, I guess. But yesterday, I mean, he has these obviously fake choppers that are made. They're huge and they're white, and you know, he thinks every time he thinks he's going to like smile his way out of a problem, he flashes the choppers.
Didn't they fall out at one time?
I wouldn't be surprised, along with his head, but what's left of his brain. But he gets up there and he says, you know, with this shit-eating grin, you know, look, I understand that the, and he was talking to the audience, I understand that the husband of the First Lady has got COVID. And then he keeps on talking, and you hear in the background, like, no, you idiot. And then he says, I mean, the first gentleman. And nobody corrected him on that. He's the first gentleman, technically.
He's an idiot. He's the first
he's
idiot.
Not that smart. Not smart enough to be an idiot. And so this Mrs. Duncefire,
yeah, it's perfect.
Is extremely appropriate. And here we are at the base of Washington Square Park. To remind folks, this has actually been changed a lot. I mean, when I was a little kid, I used to throw a ball against this arch and catch it. But from memory, it went back further. This lawn has been pushed out to where it was when I was, because we had, back in the day, buses. Fifth Avenue was two ways, so buses would come down, they go around the arch, around the circle here, and then they come back out. And
we should do that now. Sweep all the skateboarders under the bus.
You know, what are those things? Those big not Bradley tanks or whatever they are, Hummers and stuff. Give massive Hummer. Like
I think that's a different park you got to go to for that.
Hummers, I think, do go through this park at night.
Actually, you know, I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but John Mark Dugan, friend of the show.
You told me about him.
Yeah, and we were going to have another show tomorrow, but I've been having a tough time getting through to him because he's in Ukraine. He took a car trip from Russia to Ukraine, and his plan is to meet up with a troop transport and go to Mariupol. I was trying to tell him, it sounds like a crazy idea to me.
Well, it's like this friend of mine, an acquaintance of mine, I should say, who works with a prominent author. He's the CEO for the author's like burgeoning enterprise. And we were just having a drink one day in a bar, and he'd say, you know, I really like motorcycles. You want to come with me on the best motorcycle trip I've ever been on? I want to go back. I said, where was that? He said, Mozambique.
Oh boy.
And I said, isn't there like a tiny little landmine problem in Mozambique?
Yeah, but you ride right over them.
You just like, what about potholes? Well, you know, actually there aren't many roads. So
even better.
So maybe we'll go around to the chess place and then back up around. We'll show people the remarkable change in this park. I mean, it can go from being nobody's here to what you see now, where people just come here.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think I would say even now, there's always a sense of, around this park, and other parks, but this one in particular, that if you've got nothing particular to do, and you're here in Manhattan, and you want to just do some interesting people watching, and you don't fear for your safety terribly
Right.
much, you come here.
Well, it's no longer safe
Yeah,
because these guys
we'll
think
go around
that
this way.
you know the rules don't apply to them. They can do whatever they want,
Right.
and there are some sort of stupid people who listen to YouTube sometimes who think that when somebody is endangering the public safety and we are in the public, that it's none of our business. That's incorrect. Whether it's a good idea to engage with these guys is a separate conversation, but
and I don't want to get pulled down on this particular video, but I mean, if you look at that, if it's okay to do that, to go skateboarding and jump on a skateboard and possibly endanger yourself and other people and let the skateboard go flying,
Yeah.
if that thing comes at you and you're not expecting it at your ankle, God forbid at your head, you're going to get very hurt. Now, nobody's saying, well, for the benefit of society, we
Right.
decided to shoot it. Why don't you take all the skateboards, you can't burn them because that's bad for the environment, but take all the skateboards and put them in skateboard hell, for 2 years to slow
I'm
this.
just saying make this a skate park and say that's the only place in the park you're allowed to skate or have a bike.
Right. Or it should be, there is actually a skateboard and bike.
Yeah, but these guys don't use it. They like to do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's right. They're probably Harvard graduates. Now this, we'll go this way. So this is these chess players are quite good. So I wouldn't, and they're all expecting to
Sharks.
Yeah, they're all expecting to bet you for money. But if you think you're halfway decent, come on down. I guess we're on the, what is this? The southwest corner. Is that right? South.
Washington Square South, right?
South. Yeah. McDougal and Washington Square. And then I get a marvel at this. When my kids were little, they had strollers, but they didn't have. These are like SUV strollers.
Oh, I know.
They're heavy.
Off-road.
And what we were told, it wasn't for us. It wasn't a question of the expense. It was a question of the common sense of these strollers. That if you're walking around as a nanny or wife or husband or whatever with a little kid, and the kid goes apeshit on you, you've got to figure out how to get the kid into the stroller and then maybe take the kid out of the stroller and pick the stroller up. The heavier it is, the tougher it is to do some
but
of that.
Charles, this is carbon fiber. What do I got to do to get you into this today, Charles?
It's only $6.99.
Yeah, you can finance
You
it.
can lease it for 72 years.
Baby Borg or whatever that is.
Exactly.
The resistance is futile.
But it is kind of cute to see kids out and about
Yeah.
again. Actually, these kids are not wearing masks, which is, none of them are wearing
Oh,
masks.
that's a pleasure to see. But Charles, look at this. It's a public service announcement.
No, Jason, I love you, but as a brother, but you see, sometimes you just don't get it. What this sign means is that there's no bicycling on the sign.
Oh, I
You could
see.
bicycle
That
all
makes
around
sense.
the sign,
Right.
but you can't put your bicycle up on the sign. That's what that means.
I think that they're
That's a Bill
adhering to
Clinton.
that for sure.
That's a Bill Clinton analysis.
Right. Well, it depends on what your definition of bicycling is.
And this is the big dog running pen. And further up, there's a small dog running pen.
In this park there
I'll
is?
show you.
I didn't know that. Is that
We're
new?
gonna walk by. No, it's been here for ever since I've known you.
Really?
Not longer, yeah.
I always thought that was the dog park
No, I'll show
of
you.
this park.
In a second. I'll show you the other dog park of the dog park.
Now
But-
we're close to the office for this park where there's definitely
that
this
the men-
person could join the NYPD standing around doing nothing, texting while everybody is violating the law in this park. Why don't you do something? Go stop these guys from bicycling. What is your name?
Oh,
Get your
boy.
badge number. What is your job? What are you supposed to do? Do you have a gun? Do you have a taser? Stop these guys.
There's a restroom over here,
Yeah?
and we just took out a bunch of people smoking. So
Bullshit. You were on your phone. Go arrest these guys. Do something. Call the cops. You should be fired. Sorry, Charles.
It's okay. I just don't want you to get arrested.
That guy can't arrest me for telling him facts.
You can.
Here, what this guy? What is he doing?
Jason, let's just.
These idiots.
What about these guys in here?
They're also doing nothing. Sitting around waiting to collect a pension.
These,
On the phone. Texting. How do we talk to these people? Nobody in there. Everybody in there is texting on the phone. Every person in this office should be fired.
sorry.
I mean, Charles, that's our money. Each one of those
Believe
people.
me, I agree with you, but just like on the subway and the buses, you'll see they have these signs that say
Assaulting them.
verbally harassing, verbally shouting or whatever is deemed to be harassing in their self.
Here's the cops.
Let's not get into it, Jason. They're not going to do anything.
All right,
about
you're
it.
right. They're not going to do anything. That's the
Well,
sad part.
there's no point. I mean, I have some sympathy. If the DA is not going to do anything about it, why waste your fucking time?
Well, that's the thing. The whole system is broken. We need to yell at Eric Adams.
We need to yell at ourselves.
Oh, look
We're
at
not
this.
Getting out there and this bocce, yeah. So you have bocce.
Bocce.
That's what Biden's doing. He's bocceing up the whole world.
Exactly.
Okay. And
I
here's
guess
the
maybe
small
I
dog.
did know about this little dog park, but for some reason.
This is the marijuana pen.
Yeah, that's the whole entire place. But this bocce court has got to be new. I haven't seen that
it's
before.
also been here for a while.
How come I've never ever
Because
seen
you're
people
too busy
playing
on the
bocce?
see, it's a run for small dogs. Now, I don't know how you define a small dog versus a big dog.
It's like porn. You know it when you see it.
Well, that dog looks pretty big in there.
Well, there's a big dog in a small park and a small dog in a
I
big
think we need
park.
to have a PhD study on that. Probably Columbia. You spent 12 years writing a PhD in gibberish on the subject. You want to get some purple hair?
No.
So I know this is getting you dangerously close to where you were studying. So we don't
No,
want to
that
get
was
too
with the
close.
old system, so I think we should be okay. And I'm actually.
No. I'm just talking about I don't want you to get like pangs of tension because you're going back to the classrooms
NYU?
where you
Oh.
were.
Nah.
So you can see this park. I've told you how big it is. Do you remember how big it is?
You told me, and I was quite surprised, but no, I don't remember.
It's 9.75 acres, which
Yeah.
to me, it doesn't look like 9.75 acres, but it's quite big.
That is not the type of thing that I'm really good at estimating.
Me either, being a city boy. Well, I mean, the simple way to think about, I don't know if you want to go that way or this way.
Wherever you want to go.
Up and maybe up University 8th and
Sure.
Cross 8th. But the simple way to think about an acre in the United States, because people might relate to an American football field, it's about the size of an American football field.
Everyone in the UK is like, what? Here's another one of
Actually-
these Australian.
Yeah, well, UK football pitch, I think they call it, is bigger than an American football field.
You
A
mean
lot bigger.
soccer or
I mean soccer. yes,
British
but
soccer is bigger than American football?
Yeah, by far, yeah. But they don't call it British soccer, they call it football.
I know, but it's
Just
a
to confuse
confusing.
us. I know.
This is like a who's on first conversation we're having.
Exactly. And here's the distinguished gentleman not from Ukraine walking around begging for more money with his pants falling down.
Oh, that guy was talking to us earlier.
Yeah. Talking involves a two-way communication. He was-
Speaking at us,
exactly.
making sounds
Right.
in our direction.
Yeah.
It's just very disappointing, Charles, the degree to which the city and the people in it
Just falling
have
down.
just deteriorated to such a great degree.
Yeah. This guy's, they're these really aggressive ones.
We got some music over here.
Jugglers. This guy here is trying to figure out how to balance the budget.
The juggler?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the hat.
Got to make everybody in the Biden administration wear a hat like that.
Well, so I was watching this Zelensky speech earlier in front of Congress and everything. What were your feelings about that?
Again, I mean, it's funny how politics can create create strange bedfellows. I certainly don't want to be a bedfellow with Rachel Maddow or any of the other crew, but that you're now seeing on the left, people react to this, and I don't think the correct pronunciation is Ukraine, but I heard a general from the South, American South, calling it Ukraine. People are looking at this and saying, now wait a minute, why are we letting all these refugees jump the line from Ukraine, but we wouldn't resettle them out of Syria? And actually many of the people, 30 to 40% of the of the refugees that are now streaming out
I
of
heard that.
Ukraine are not ethnic Ukrainians. And some are from Africa, some are from the Middle East, maybe some are from Asia. And then this whole thing of, I'm the president of a country, so now I'm going to dress like Mark Zuckerberg because
Right.
that made him a billionaire.
He's wearing the same T-shirt for the past week. And what is that symbol on the breast?
I don't know. So
Macron is now trying
I
to
know.
ape his style. That is so stupid.
it'd be pretty funny if Biden tried it. You have to have a bib on it, his though. Special bib edition. But look at this for a second. It's a nice little,
This is the La Maison des Études.
the German one.
Oh,
And this
this
is
used to be the French one. Yeah,
Over
La
there.
Maison Française.
Pretty dangerous to put anything French next to anything German.
This is good. Yeah, it's
World War
might
III.
invade, right?
This is where World War III is going to start.
My roommate freshman year of NYU worked in there, and I just hated that guy. He one time there was no garbage disposal.
So you
There
just
was no
put it
kitchen.
in your bed.
No, I went into the bathroom and he had shoved all this Chinese food down the drain. And I was like, dude,
Where was he from?
I don't know, like hell. And I was like, you realize there's no garbage disposal, right? And he's like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, who shoved all this Chinese food down the bathroom sink? And he was like, I don't know, right? It's like, come on now. What, did the Chinese food fairy come in here and shove this down the sink? I know it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And you're the only one in here.
Other than me, yeah. So back on
Zelensky.
Zelensky, look, I mean, there's no question that there's a lot of pain and suffering in Ukraine. There's also a lot of pain and suffering in many other places in the world. But it would seem that anybody who dares at this point to get in front of the gigantic freight train, which is we got to help our brothers and sisters in Ukraine and spout Ukrainian language and uniforms or whatever, anybody who would dare to say, now wait a minute, is there a reason why the Russians are upset about what we've been doing in Ukraine?
They're still pushing the no reason
Oh, that's just rubbish.
line.
That's just rubbish.
Look, this is out.
Oh, it's been out for a while, Jason.
I haven't been on this street too much. It changes hands quite a lot over here. So many things closed. I'm sorry to keep interrupting the story, Charles, but I stopped a postal worker on the walk over
That
to
could
the
be
park.
dangerous.
Well,
Could've gone postal on you.
I just asked her, right? I said, do you think that half of the businesses are closed? And she said, yeah, the retail level, that's nice that guy just spit in the street.
Where
On
else
the
you gonna
retail
spend?
level, yes, but she said up in the offices they're starting to come back. So I
That
don't know.
think could be true. I don't know why. I don't know why in this day and age, why you'd want to have an office here.
I don't know.
But so anyway, back on Zelensky
yeah.
and Ukraine, we have now rushed $13+ billion to Ukraine. To put that number in perspective, in 2010, it's estimated that Haiti, the budget to rebuild all of Haiti is a place of 10 million people. And mind you, all of Ukraine is not destroyed.
But isn't it 40 million?
You got to check on a minute-by-minute basis. It's like, 39,
Right.
down from 44.
Right.
But the budget of 10 to 13 and possibly more is a big budget to rush through. And query, I mean, Tucker has Carlson, who of course everybody, and let's let this person who's yakking away go past us.
It's a new FedEx across the street.
So yes.
They seem to be doing a lot of business, hiring in all these offices.
Yeah, that's the new trick. What you do is you walk around with a cell phone that doesn't work, and you just yell, and you hope that the person on the other side of the earth can hear you. But yeah, I really object to this. FedEx does this all over the place. Amazon as well. They park their trucks, and they basically use the sidewalk and the street as warehouse
Yeah.
space, and nobody's compensated for it.
Amazon's even worse.
I know. So people are rightly saying, now wait a minute, the Ukraine situation is bad, but why are they getting on a rush basis this amount of money, and we're not helping many other places, be it the folks in Yemen, different countries in Africa, and of course they will immediately, people who make the comparison, and I don't identify as black, but
I'm surprised by that.
I'm not a good enough athlete. But
a little bit pale.
still very pale. But
People frequently.
whiter shade.
Are you
pale.
Denzel Washington?
Oh yeah, exactly.
That happens all the time.
It happens exactly. But people are rightly saying, well, why all the scratch for Ukraine? And does anybody want to check? People do these lists of what's the most corrupt country on earth.
Yeah, Ukraine's number 4.
As the most, fourth. Yeah, it's more corrupt than Russia, and
They say it's the 4th on the list of most corrupt.
right. So the notion that you're going to send 13 billion into Ukraine, that you're going to say, like, in America, we should take away everybody's guns. We've just passed this thing,
Right.
this legislation, which is devious. I'm told, and I haven't checked it to verify this, but the analysis I've seen, and obviously it's from the gun lobby, is that the modifications that are made in this endless bill of 1.5 trillion that's meant to provide relief and other things, buried in it are provisions that if you want to get a new gun, you have to go through the standard system. But what they don't tell you is the standard system has been gamed so that when you apply for your gun license, they argue, you're going to get turned down more than you should because of a quirk in the system. They haven't fixed the quirk. They just
I thought you just have to be an American and then the Constitution lets you have it.
No, 5-day waiting period, depends on the state. You go through a check, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. And my point is that apparently the trick they've come up with is the check will come back negative even though it shouldn't. You shouldn't get a gun. You then contest it, but if it comes back negative the first time, this new legislation says, now there has to be a criminal investigation into you.
What?
Yeah, so that's the way
They took away Laura's right to get a gun, put her on some special
Right.
FBI list, I think, because she yelled at
Right.
Comey.
Exactly, and so, this is, our rights are being, they have that phrase that we've used before from Thomas Jefferson, your rights will be revived or expunged in a convulsion. They're being expunged
Right.
as we speak. So, I'm not so far. I mean, back on Ukraine, we're the progressives, the liberals, the Republicans are all in for letting guns flow into Ukraine.
criminals to Ukraine.
Well, you don't know who they're going to.
Right.
Yes, they don't know.
They go to terrorists. They could go to more
Right.
people who are going to shoot down more MH17s.
But this is something that happened with Fast and Furious under Obama, thanks
Right.
to Eric Holder. The Fast and Furious. So,
Now, one second, Charles. This thing, is this Peter Cooper here getting reconstructed or whatever is going
this
on?
has been here forever.
But what's with all the,
Oh, that? I don't know.
isn't that Peter Cooper, whatever?
I mean, Cooper Union. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
Yeah. Getting fixed.
So I guess they're
up.
restoring it.
That used to be quite an amazing place. That if you got in, it was all free for 4 years.
Well, this is where I gave the speech about 3D in there.
Oh wow! And then it promptly went bankrupt, or what happened afterwards?
That was a long time ago, before I think I ever even heard of Epstein. And it was funny because, right, well, they invited me to speak there, and I was like, cool, yeah, sure. I figured this is a good way to get new interns, go to a college and speak about 3D.
Right.
And the guy, I walk in and he hands me $25, and I was like, what's this? He says, it's a stipend.
Stipend?
I was
Yeah,
like,
that's
what?
a classic trick. There's probably a $25,000 stipend. It gives you 25.
Yeah, I get 25 and he
Maybe
keeps
it's
24.
It doesn't tell you about that.
Maybe. But I was like, why would they give you $25? It just seems silly.
Doesn't seem like much.
No, it doesn't, but I guess it pays for lunch or something.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That Zelensky speech at Congress, to me, Charles, everything you're saying is absolutely right. They're doing crazy stuff. Why does Ukraine get money rather than Chicago or anywhere?
Right here.
Right.
Well, and there's just this stampede to like wear the blue and yellow flag and
Well, that's it. It's like here, we've got the president of one place on a big screen in Congress getting a huge standing ovation, and we're not even going to allow the opposition to have a channel. It's going to get canceled everywhere,
Right.
taken down everywhere. You can't even hear what they have to say, and this guy is going to be accepted as,
right.
you take this as the gospel or you're a pariah.
And we were talking briefly before we started about Lara Logan, who used to be on CBS 60 Minutes for quite a while. She's the one who did the reporting from Tahrir Square during September 11th, 2011. She was brutally, I mean, there's no nice way to be raped, but she was brutally raped, gang raped.
Yes.
Horribly, I mean, and stayed on at CBS for a while, then was a Sean Hannity Fox darling until she equated Fauci to Mengele, and that got her bounced out of Fox. So now she's with this Real America's Voice, something that I've been interviewed for a few times, and I guess there are a lot of people cycling out of One American News and Fox and elsewhere in there. And she said, now wait a minute, in her opinion, this Zelensky's a thug. You know, how did he get, let's go stop for a second, how did he get selected to be president of the United States? A president of Ukraine.
Yeah, well, he's virtually president of the United States, because he's not just asking for money, he's saying send planes, get into a war, and they're all like, yeah, we got to do it.
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, it's just kind of contrast that with Vietnam.
Is this weed? Look at that.
100% vegan. See, if
But
you put weed,
infused with
vegan.
weed.
I'm saying, if you put, but it's vegan, Jason, so it's not bad for you.
It's the V spot.
Right,
So you can get your weed nachos.
right.
So I mean, it's one thing to give them money. It's another thing to say, this is the open air weed market right here.
And here's
Another
my
thing
friend.
to say, get into a war, and people are wanting to do it.
Well, and think about it, maybe they were right then, and maybe we should be thinking a little bit more carefully now, but the people who opposed the run-up to the Iraq War, Nancy Pelosi being one of the very important ones, and
She opposed it?
I think so, and Bernie Sanders, maybe I'm wrong.
surprised. She's got to love it.
But a number of people did righteously oppose it, and in hindsight, they were absolutely right. But now, who's opposing the idea that we're 30% of America, according to some poll,
Here's somebody you should get a ticket.
30% of Americans believe it's okay. 30% of it. Oh, it's because these are all these kung fu tea.
This is the electric unicycle store, or what is this?
No, it's where they hang out and do kung fu and tea. But it's 30% of Americans are okay with fighting Russia over Ukraine, even if it goes to nuclear war.
What?
This just shows you the great shape that our educational system is in. I mean,
That's crazy.
I know. As is our educational system.
So you're saying 30% of people like, yeah, nuclear war, meh.
I don't know why. No biggie. Just a nuclear war.
Wow. There's a K-pop record store coming in over there, and this is the Mike Tyson hotboxing podcast. Have you seen that, Charles?
I have not.
It's actually quite funny. Mike Tyson has some good stories.
He's the kind of guy I can't even imagine interviewing him. It would be, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whatever you want.
He's very, it's interesting. He's more interesting than you might expect. What the hell is that guy saying? Everybody's got something stupid to say, Charles. Have you noticed that?
I have. And there's the documentary about Biden.
Stomp.
He's stomping on everything.
He is doing just a
Stomping
terrible
on the
job.
world.
So did he give a speech in response to what Zelensky
I
said?
was not able to watch it. I was doing something. But he is apparently promising even more aid. And, for good measure, Zelensky got up and said the situation in Ukraine, my understanding is a combination of Pearl Harbor, 9/11, and what happened to Martin Luther King. And I'm sorry, dude. I mean, it's not great what's going on over there, but no, it's not. It
But
just
also,
isn't.
why did he started off with a translator, but then the second half of the thing, he was speaking English. And
He's a quick study, Jason.
Well, no, he speaks English really well, actually.
Right.
That's the new Bronco, Charles.
Which one?
That is like $1 billion car for Ford.
Wow, seems expensive.
Well, I don't think each one costs $1 billion, but developing it.
Here we go, Ukraine flag, right
Yeah.
across the street from the massage parlor.
Wait, look at this. Is that Ukrainian? It's Hawkman.
It's somebody's private home, I think.
They're for Ukraine.
Jubilee Mission Center. Rent's too high, Jason.
Where does it say that?
I should say that here. I mean, when I was a kid, this was a no-go zone.
Well, there's another Ukraine.
Yeah.
That's what.
But just to finish on Laura, what she was saying apparently is that A, Zelensky is a thug. B, we don't know who's behind him. C,
Well, we kind of do though.
C, NATO, she alleges, and the UK are financing the Azov battalion.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, and so.
But she says that, and they're going to call her a conspiracy theorist and fire her.
Exactly. That was the story I read. There was like a condescending, look what this nutcase is now saying.
Wow.
Story.
So it's a rape victim who they've decided is a conspiracy theorist. Here's somebody got a ticket, and it's just.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll get paid. Top priority.
There's so much stuff. I was started to think I maybe should write a list because I always have so many things I want to ask you about, and then when we get out here, maniacs distract my attention, and it's hard to remember.
That's not going to change. Maniacs around here are not going to change.
There's no shortage.
Right. Rosanna Dana. If it's not one thing, it's another.
One damn thing after another. I've been reading more of that. I really have to recommend it to everybody. William Barr.
But get it at the library, right?
That's a good idea.
You don't want to reward him.
Well, we could go over to that Tompkins Square.
That's where we're headed.
Free book thing
buy
and
one, get
take one out of the pile of urinated on books.
Right. We have to be very careful when we walk through this park.
Yeah, it's super maniacs in that park.
Yeah.
What about vacuum smoothie bar? What is that?
A must miss. I mean, in the good news department, they have arrested somebody who might have been the person who was shooting homeless people.
Right.
As my dad pointed out, those people who were shot are not very far away from where I live.
No, I know. That's the thing. The guy's a maniac. And they arrested him in Philadelphia, which I'm glad you brought that up because it really makes me think, Charles, if we're living in a world right now where there's just so much video surveillance and everything you do, you have your phone and you're using a credit card and cameras everywhere and DNA forensics. It seems to me if somebody in a city like New York really wants to investigate a crime, it seems extremely difficult to get away with a crime.
Right.
The only people who get away is when they're just not investigated.
Or when they're the mayor.
That's what I mean.
The U.S. attorneys. Nice garbage.
Well, but this is all obviously going away, right? This just looks like a wreck.
Garbage adjacent. I think there are people in there eating.
You're right. Huh.
So this is the kind of neighborhood which during daylight hours is relatively safe and I would argue at dusk and afterwards, get
Dangerous.
the hell out of here.
Yeah. It's just that the criminals are asleep right now.
Yeah, unless you want to go over to Fun City Tattoo.
Right. It's world famous.
I know. Right next to the Pussycat.
On St. Mark's, at least.
What is this?
Physical graffiti? Isn't that a
I don't know.
Rolling Stones album or something?
I need a selfie stick.
Yeah.
What?
She needs a selfie stick.
Oh.
He's so hot.
Well, if you're talking about you, she said he's so hot.
The dumpling man is hand making dumplings right before your eyes. Look at that. That looks very appealing, doesn't it, Charles? You want to dine in a cave?
And here's a nice, right here, we have a school.
Oh, yeah.
Right next to all
Is this it?
Yeah. Honor,
George
courage,
Jackson Academy?
integrity, and excellence. That's a high likelihood of being true in this neighborhood.
But who was George Jackson again?
No clue.
He's famous.
I don't know.
That's his academy.
Yeah, I mean,
There's King Kong. It's kind of like King Kong meets the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Mo.I1. Mo.1 or what is it?
Moa.
IG. What, Instagram?
Moa1.
There you go. I forget, a number of years back, a number of our followers called and asked if I would join him for a drink, and I did over here somewhere.
Ah,
Wasn't bad. I thought about afterwards. I said, "What the hell am I doing over here?" But here I am again. Might have been this place. Let's just let this guy go.
the craft and carry. You mentioned earlier the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Bureau. Who
Right.
the hell had the idea of putting those three things together?
Well, because I don't know. I mean,
It's like the Bureau of Barbecues. Let's get some alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
well, I
and
think the people were
have an
smuggling all
afternoon.
the above, and I don't know when that was. There's Ripco Real Estate.
Sushi marshmallows? Oh, Squish marshmallows. Well, that's out of business. Who
about
would have
this
thought
place?
that an entire store dedicated to marshmallows could possibly go out of business, Charles?
Here's a fine kosher grocery going out of business. $10 six packs. Is that for matzah or for beer?
That seems expensive for beer.
It's cheap.
$10 for a
Yeah,
six
yeah,
pack?
they've raised the taxes a lot.
I
they
think
said.
I haven't bought beer in a very long
Yeah, I
time.
mean, it's a six pack of good beer is it can be $15.
That's a ripoff. Ooh, this guy's
Hey there, how are you?
about to.
Nice to see you. Good. Be well.
This guy's about to crash his Cayman into somebody's moped.
I think that was one of the guys who showed up.
Oh, wow, that's a bit of a psychic moment there, Charles.
It is.
You kind of detected that energy.
So yeah, Hanoi House. And here, Tompkins Park is a lot bigger than I remember it.
Because it used to be a closed down pile of dirt with nothing but heroin addicts in it. And now you have COVID tests.
Right, everywhere.
Do we have
Starbucks?
two? What is it? Street side? What is that?
Bringing health coverage
Yeah,
to
that's
you.
two COVID tests right there.
Fidelis Care. Yeah, we could go. I mean, we could. I'm game for going around the
I
perimeter.
already see a maniac.
Where? Over there.
One leg
That's-
on the pants.
That's no maniac.
Who
That's
is
a
it?
maniac?
Yeah, no, they're all maniacs. See, motorized vehicle on the sidewalk should be a major.
Especially going the wrong way. You know, at that speed, you
it's
can't hear
just-
them. And going the
Right,
wrong
and these
way.
electric things you can't hear either, and you can go 30 miles an hour on the sidewalk. It's just
What
getting
do you
worse.
figure? Should we walk on the sidewalk or take the risk?
Let's go right through and see
All right.
maniac observation.
All right.
It's beautiful weather today. I'm thankful for that. Get out of the apartment and enjoy
This
some nice
vehicle is
weather.
powered by biodiesel, Jason. Does that make you feel better?
Is it?
They don't tell you
I
how
had
much
a
it costs.
Friend in LA who had a biodiesel car. He said it was ultimately a giant pain in the ass, and then something happened with taxes where they made biodiesel more expensive than
That's what they're going to
regular, and it has this like crappy old car, always braking. It wasn't good.
do. Never is.
No.
So yeah, here is this park, and you know, you would think, and this is another. I think this is larger than Washington Square Park. I don't know.
It looks pretty big.
And-
It's still pretty like dilapidated compared to, you know, Washington Square Park or whatever, and everybody here is smoking, so.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, you know, you should definitely force everybody to be vaccinated, but let anybody who wants smoke cigarettes. Because
And throw the cigarette butts on the ground.
Let's we can go this way, I guess. Before, when we were walking the sidewalk, there were a whole bunch of people living on the sidewalk,
Tents, right, those
Yeah.
seem to be gone.
and then we came around this corner actually, and there were like it was colder, and there were maybe 30 or 40 homeless people. And I
Sort of a
well,
gang.
We had a COVID test over there.
Yeah, all around. Oh, that guy's got a much more expensive camera than me, so he's more likely to get his busted
Yeah,
and
so-
stolen.
Yeah, here we go. This is where we came around the corner before. But there are kids down that way, and I figure we could make it to the kids. Let's not stop.
Sure. There's a whole. There's somebody playing guitar.
Not bad. This guy's skipping rope. Ooh, nice interlude there, musical interlude.
Yeah. The person's knees are getting sunburned. She better watch out. Wow, nice shoes.
Yep.
Well, I mean, we've got kids, so I guess it can't be that dangerous.
Let's hope not. At
They're
least
kind of fenced off, which is good.
in this time of day.
Oh, look, here's an interesting instrument.
Hawaiian slide guitar, maybe.
Charles, everybody's into something here in New York City. I like seeing that, like people sitting there playing weird instruments. That makes me feel a small sense of regular New York, right? I don't think people appreciate this concept how on a day like today, if I wasn't involved in 5 lawsuits and you just felt like coming outside and going for a walk, this kind of thing can be quite relaxing back 2, 3, 4 years ago when it was a much lower likelihood that you'd get
Killed.
clobbered over the head. But just observing all that kind of stuff, like you could sit down and start a conversation with that guy. He might be a weirdo. He might be the most interesting person you've spoken to in a week.
Could be the reincarnation of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, for all you know.
You never know
In New York, you never
the
do.
stuff you get into.
But yeah,
Chatting
this
with people.
is big. And when I was in Ukraine back in 2010 to 2012, I went to many of these cities that are now being bombed. Of course, the foreign minister was on, I think, Brett Baer's show yesterday, and he claimed,
Of Ukraine?
and he claimed that multiple Ukraine cities have been razed to the ground.
But then somebody was looking at live, traffic cams, and they look totally normal.
Well, I think, any sort of reporting from these war zones, we've got to look at scans. Why don't we go out and
Sure.
around? So I think that way we'll be able to capture more. And we can see this big park you were talking about that has skateboards and stuff. But my recollection of the many cities I visited is it's not unlike New York City. I mean, you start on New York City out by Kennedy Airport, and it's very different than around here. And so I wouldn't be at all surprised if portions of these cities were razed, but
Right.
to say the whole city was razed, I don't even think Mariupol, which is, I think, one of the cities that suffered heavy bombardment, I don't think
Still
it's
happening,
yeah.
I think. That's where John Mark Dugan is headed, Mariupol. It's suicidal. I don't know why.
Does he have a tattoo on his face that says "Make better
Make good
choices"?
decisions, right?
Make better choices.
Well, I mean, he was in the Marines and he
Right.
was a cop, so
The key verbs there are "was."
I think they say you're always a Marine if you've been a Marine.
Yeah,
So,
but
but I mean, he's got combat training and stuff, and he's an adult. It doesn't seem like a sensible decision to me at all. And I'll be honest, if John Mark sees this, I was concerned when I was watching his videos last night because it almost seems suicidal to me to go there.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's you just at this day and age, you don't really know what's going on.
But even what he was saying, he's saying he's going to get into a troop transport and there's no windows, and he says all you feel is the heat of the explosion and then that's it. So we'll see what happens. And I was like, what is this? What are you talking about?
He must be at the end of his rope, and if somebody took out a big insurance policy.
I mean,
on him or
I don't know him that well on a personal level to evaluate his motivations and things like that, and I'm not even a close enough friend with him to get involved in this kind of thing. But I was concerned, to be honest. I hope he's all right.
something. Yeah, me too.
And it
I don't
seems
know
like
from Adam, but to go into a war zone and these poor 2 Fox people who were killed, and Benjamin Hall's in the hospital, it's very risky work.
Yeah.
And but one thing we should all remember from war zones is that in the first instance, very little comes out of a war zone that isn't reviewed by somebody or another, and therefore could have bias in it. Whether it's Ukraine trying to stoke sympathy or Russia trying to say things aren't as bad as you think. So you really have to take all these reports. You can't take them at face.
Skeptically.
Yeah, you got to.
Zelensky did that during his congressional speech. He played this whole produced video with music that
Right.
said, like, help Ukraine. I was thinking, what the hell is this? It's a big ad to get us into World War III. I really object to that guy.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
And everybody in Congress was just eating it up. Nancy Pelosi was like, whatever, Spava Ukraine or whatever it is. She's like, say it, everybody. She was like this like twitching.
Well, did you see her last night?
Delirium tremens. Yeah, it was like 11 in the morning and she hadn't had a martini yet, so she was like shaking like a...
I need a MiG. I mean, they need a MiG. I mean, somebody should send them a MiG. Let's send them a MiG.
Right.
She's
like, another round of MiGs on me. Keep them coming.
Yeah, send the bill to the taxpayer. So here's your skateboard park.
Well, there's somebody doing devil sticks or something there.
I know, but in the main, there's people on skateboards. You'll see there are these things you can jump.
Doesn't seem to be as many as there are in
Well,
Washington
because this
Square.
would be too, this is too calm. You're not breaking the law here.
Right.
You know.
No, that's just it. It's not a matter of... I don't think that the people doing that in Washington Square Park would necessarily go to a skate park because
Sure.
part of the fun for them
Breaking
is,
the
you
law.
know, screw all these people. It's about what I want.
Yeah.
Isn't that...
the appeal for me of skiing, which is in some ways similar, is that when you fall, if you know what you're doing and you're lucky, you're going to have a hard time getting hurt.
I think a lot of people would disagree with you on that.
Well, they
You are a skilled skier.
Well, they might not know what they're doing. I'm just saying, if you go on a beginner slope, you very easy for you to, this is a beginner slope. And if I fell down or you fell down right now on the asphalt, you're going to hurt yourself. But if you're on an incline, in control, and you fall, you can fall into the hill.
And in tennis, if you fall over, that's an asphalt. Tennis joke, Charles.
Got it.
Not
Got
that
it,
funny.
Jason. It was okay. Better than Hillary Clinton's joke. See that?
You
She
got
got sanctioned by the
thanking,
She got sanctioned by the Russians.
Well, somebody else was making fun of that, talking about
I was.
Hunter Biden getting sanctioned, but that could be a big deal if he has a lot of money in whatever, Ukraine or Cyprus or...
Any place where the Russians have an axe,
They'll grind it.
Any country if they're in he has money in a tax haven, as you said, like Cyprus.
Did you smell those guys?
I didn't want to.
I didn't either, but it just hit me. Oh, that's an authentic homeless person.
Yeah.
Now, wait, you just reminded me though of something.
There's retail space available, Jason.
That smell kicked it out of my head.
Kicked it out of the universe. Oh boy, and there's people set up for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh yeah,
tomorrow.
so China is now
Gotta pronounce
creating
it
the
right.
Petro Yuan.
China.
And the Petro Yuan, they're gonna, what are they saying about that? There was something, they're getting ready to, buy oil with yuan or something.
Well, it's obviously
From Russia.
If you think about essential supply and demand, for a long time, the Saudis have had to sell their oil for dollars.
But everybody has.
Well, right, but the Saudis in particular. So the Saudis and the other Gulf kingdoms. So the second you create an option for the Saudis to get yuan, that means there's going to be less demand for dollars.
Right, and the whole value of our economy goes down.
Could go down, but the problem, of course, is that China has gone out of its way, in my opinion, to become uninvestable.
Why would they do that?
Because they don't know what they're doing.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, to as they've been attacking the high tech companies. Who's the guy who went missing?
Jack Ma.
Jack Ma.
Is he back? I think he's still missing.
I don't know, but the point is that it's not. It's a country that does not, in recent history, have, prior to 1989, 1990, 92, does not have a reputation for respecting private property. Doesn't even today have that reputation.
Right.
Doesn't have a reputation for welcoming foreigners and treating them fairly. Witness what they did to the people of Hong Kong, what they're, as they say in the South, fixing to do
Right.
to the people of Taiwan. So it's not. I'd be a bit more nervous if it were, Canada has a lot of oil and gas, but nothing compared to what we have. If a country like Canada, which does sell, I think, in Canadian dollars, but so far, again, China doesn't. I was asked on Russian television last week, what percentage, if I were Russian, what percentage of my money would I keep in yuan? And I wanted to say zero, but I figured that would be too incendiary, so I said 15% or less.
That's basically zero.
Yeah.
Well,
Again, we have no idea what the true agenda is in China, and we have no idea what the financial performance is of all these companies and of the country. And we do know that China has growing and gigantic military ambitions around the world. So those cost
and all
money.
of our $85 billion worth of military stuff from Afghanistan.
And those cost money. And they have been spending for decades a lot of time, manpower, and money trying to put bases and projects in countries where there are natural resources like Democratic Republic of the Congo that are vast but don't have any infrastructure and are not easy to manage. So they're taking on a set of management tasks that are Herculean, and while they have 4 times as many people as we have, I don't think they have 4 times our experience or necessarily 4 times our wealth, and they certainly don't have, as I say, a tradition of being truthful. Not that we do.
Right. Yeah.
But here we are over in...
Well, you mentioned Trudeau and Zelensky.
I think it's pronounced Trudeau.
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 But
Should we go across in the sun, or you want to stay in the...
Doesn't matter.
You tell me.
Yeah, let's stay in the sun. Zelensky called on Trudeau to support the no-fly zone. They're going to do this no-fly zone. They've been talking about it too much for it to just not happen.
Russia will smoke 1 or more planes.
Absolutely. And then they'll say, oh, now it's war, and then Russia will nuke.
I hope they won't nuke, but I think what they will do, Japan has said, all right, you guys are busy, so we'll now remind everybody those Kuril Islands that are near Japan and near Russia, those are ours, even though on the map they say they're yours. So you're going to start seeing people, I want this, I want that, I'll take that yacht, you take that yacht.
Right. Just stealing people's stuff. What did those Russian... They always refer to these oligarchs like they're not Congress. They don't even necessarily have anything to do with or even like Putin, do they?
I think the theory is...
We got a giant puddle there.
Right, the theory is that dirty politicians around the world, Marcos, for example, did this, will take local Philippine people, in the case of the Philippines, and say, okay, you're a billionaire. And you say, wait a minute, I don't have any money. And so Marcos say, you're right, it's my fucking money, but I can't admit that I have this money, that I stole this, so you're going to claim you have it. And don't get too
comfortable with it, right. Don't buy a lot of stuff.
Because the real wealth is in Switzerland, where nobody knows what's going on, and you're going to have, on the asset side, you're going to say you have $3 billion worth of a beer company making this up, but you're going to have a debt to me of $3 billion, and the interest payment on that is your family. You know, when I want this back, I'm going to get it.
But do we have any evidence that Putin has done that?
I don't know that Putin has done that, but that's kind of, I keep talking to you about business models. That's a business model for oligarch scale corruption, dictator scale corruption. But I mean, that's how Joe Biden does it, right? 10% for the big guy.
Well, right. But in other words, if you just decided that, all right, Joe Biden, I mean, name the top 5 rich guys. Are we gonna? I guess this is a bad example because, I mean, do you punish Elon Musk somehow because the United States has done something if he has nothing to do with it?
Not necessarily Elon Musk, but you think of the people around Clinton who went from nothing to suddenly being billionaires, Dennis O'Brien in Ireland. There's various guys who, I haven't seen the audit trail on how Dennis O'Brien came up with his first nickel, how he turned that into his first million and his first billion. I'd love to see that audit trail.
It's just interesting how all these sanctions...
They're extra legal, as far as I can tell.
Right. Well, it's practically summertime, Charles.
Yeah, but it's about to get cold again, right?
Is it?
That's what always happens in March. You break into this, and then it gets cold. Now, we could cross the street, and I can kit you out with some McDonald's.
No, thanks. But that is a pretty elaborate church, isn't it?
Yeah. I think we walked by that before. That's it's a school.
Everything has become a bicycle delivery place. What is going on there?
Yeah, I don't know. And this is Stuyvesant Town. And then there's Peter
I
Cooper's.
had a friend who lived in here.
The apartments in Stuyvesant,
they're nice.
They're big.
Yeah.
They were big. I don't know how expensive they are.
Well, that's the whole thing, is that they're not that expensive, but I think it's super difficult to get in there.
You got to know somebody.
Yeah, I have to have it in the family, basically, yeah.
Really. Papaya dog, Jason. It's got
Don't
your
like
name on
that.
it.
No.
God, you're so negative about fast food.
I love hot dogs, but I will only get ones that are, you know, grass-fed beef and not filled with chemicals and stuff.
Aren't hot dogs made out of pork?
It depends.
I'm just teasing you. Now,
You can get them from bison too. They're really good.
now, here's one, you know, the business model. Pack Indian food. Pakistan Indian food.
Yeah,
That's not a thing.
you go in there and they beat you up,
Yeah, that's right.
fight over it. Wear a cashmere sweater in there and they kill you.
When I was a kid, I had a job in a bike store right around here. Maybe it was where Salt and
I
Pepper
thought it was
is,
in
or
West.
maybe it's where
I
that
thought it was in
modern-
the West Village.
I was also at a bike store there.
Huh.
I was very interested in making money when I was a kid. So I was industrious.
Yeah.
Then I
that's
became
good.
lazy.
Well, retired.
Just lazy. No, Papaya Dog would appear to be under construction.
Well, out, right? It seems to be going out of business.
Or it's a bathroom.
No, they're clearing out the inside there.
So here's the genius move of de Blasio. Put in these link stations for people,
The only people that
reach up.
ever use them are homeless people.
and you know, they just like, you know, they got bags,
Charge up your device and leave a bomb here.
just sleep on the sidewalk. I always was under the impression that ramen is atrocious for you,
It's soup.
but it's very salty.
It's too salty for me. I don't like it.
Here we go.
What are they doing there? It sounds like a craps game or something.
Probably, you know, if they put in a hard 1 hour work. He's charged 16 to the construction site, and he's gonna have a couple hundred beers and go home.
Just 2 dozen at a time.
That's right. It's like a couple hundred beers. What is that? Tiferet Israel. What does that mean?
Town and village synagogue. I don't know.
But have you ever? That doesn't sound like a Jewish word. Tiferet. Oh, Tifereth.
Tifereth.
Is that a? Do you recognize that word?
I've never heard of it before. Bras are out, Charles.
I'm not complaining.
No, it's fine.
I'm not complaining.
So that, no, it's in our old house, and it's like, oh, yeah. So we're like,
Yeah, so now
Probably works at the
this,
Crocodile Lounge.
this is going away, Charles. The day of the Hemi is going the way of the dodo because they passed some kind of fuel economy thing.
Oh boy.
And
Be
so
careful.
no more Hemis.
I don't know.
That kind of sucks.
Yeah, I think you're missing what I was referring to. I think that guy just took a Dumpus Maximus. And
Oh, I didn't see that.
I didn't want to see that.
Here's another one of these artichoke pizzas.
Yeah. Bring your own cup. You're
Yeah.
just gonna like bring your own meal.
Just, yeah, bring your own coffee.
And we'll just charge you a seating fee.
Yeah.
You can make sure you do a good Yelp review. And we'll
Right.
give you a bill for just occupying the seat.
Renting the seat.
So we're on 14th Street, heading west
Legal weed.
to Mohan's Tattoo Inn. Been around for 22 years.
But yeah, I guess not.
Halal, guys.
That is actually well known.
Is that a particular place?
Halal guys, I think they have a few, or maybe it started as a truck and then but I see that halal guys around.
But KFC.
Somebody was telling me in the comments that they had a friend who got some kind of executive job at KFC when he was 19, and he would just eat KFC every day.
Turned into a chicken?
He died of a heart attack at 30.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, so like that's,
I wonder if it's the KFC or the sides. You know, the
I just
heavy
never eat it.
potatoes and mac and cheese.
I think the last time I ate KFC I was 10.
Well, dude, you haven't had the benefit of the new flavors and stuff. Bait and Hook Shack.
Still open. Now wait a minute. So they're saying they still want
A lot
you
of
to-
these places haven't bothered to take the signs down.
Somebody posted that a place asked them for the vaccine passport, even though they've stopped mandating it.
Yeah, people will do that.
Well, in my apartment building, they've changed the policy. You're not allowed in the gym unless you register with the desk with your vaccine passport and show them that you're vaccinated.
But on the good news front, I've seen the Senate apparently voted to, that's just the Senate, hasn't passed the House and the President, but to eliminate masks on public transportation and various countries. That's nice. Various countries are talking now about, Spain apparently is 100% open.
Huh. It's funny, they were like the first to
Right,
lock
they're
down.
wigged out. Now,
But
this
you know-
place, do you think this is
What?
might need to,
Beauty bar?
I mean, do a little, I mean,
Well,
it's
that's
your
their
thing.
thing.
If you're a huge fat person, you probably shouldn't be a diet doc. It says, sorry, we're closed. But I
But
mean,
that's been there for a long time.
doesn't look very beautiful.
I think that's the joke.
Okay.
It's like designed
I get
like a
it.
hair salon in there, but it's a bar.
But it's also closed.
Well, just because it's daytime, I think.
That doesn't,
I'm pretty
in this
sure.
neighborhood?
That guy looks like Tommy Chong.
I was going to say he also looks like Donald Sutherland.
It's Tommy Chong meets Donald Sutherland.
This part of the city, this street has really not changed except for the corner there that much.
COVID testing.
Oh,
So one of the things that John Cullen is closing in on, Charles, is that the COVID death numbers in China are
Make no
growing tremendously.
Make no
And
sense.
something like 50% of all the deaths in China since the beginning of this have occurred in the last 28 days.
Yeah. Makes
So-
no sense.
That's disconcerting. It makes me think that there's, some next thing cooking up.
Yeah, I'm not, again, I'm so, at this point, we know the data is atrocious. Here's one COVID place over there.
Right.
If you're left hand of the street, then you want to be the right hand of the street. There's a
Where's
guy
that
going
guy
through
selling?
somebody else's luggage,
Where? Oh, is he?
probably, and there your garbage,
He's upset that
garbage adjacent.
he's like, don't film my public criminal activity.
Right. And that guy's like,
Video record.
and that guy's like, I failed out of medical school, nursing school, and school in general, but I'm a COVID tester.
And then also Joe's Pizza has COVID testing right in front of it.
That's great. So you get a pie and a test.
Yeah.
That pizza's not bad, but that's not the same
It's
Joe.
very good. It is.
Is it the same Joe?
It is the same Joe's from Bleecker Street.
I like the one over in Bleecker. It's
that's the
technically
same.
not Bleecker.
Well, it's like 6th Ave and
No, it's on 6th Avenue, but it intersects Bleecker around the corner. Anyway, we both know where it is.
yeah.
And
But
here's
that is the same pizza company.
the temple to bureaucratic sloth is in front of us. Con Edison's headquarters.
This?
Yeah,
It's got a big fiber optic clock on it, doesn't it?
it's got a big amount of waste inside and outside on it with hybrid power. I don't know that Con Edison makes very much hybrid power, but if you're a utility, wouldn't you want to encourage people to use
Gas instead of
power.
electricity?
the power that you make?
Well, if it was a plug-in hybrid, then they're on track.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the other thing that occurs to me. I bet you if you went to, there's almost nothing I've ever evaluated that I didn't right away say, if you just did this, it would be a little better. And you can always do that with stuff. I bet you if we said, look, you know what, we could radically transform everything in a short period of time, and that is almost guaranteed to create more problems than it solves. Or we could look at what we've got and focus on a 10 to 20%
Right.
improvement in efficiency, which is a very realistic goal. And when it's spread out over all these, millions of people, it would make a big difference. And
Right.
they're just spending money in such
absurd.
inefficient and stupid ways, like
Well-
13 billion to Ukraine, where probably 12.8 of it will be stolen, and the rest of it will burn down.
Well, we've talked about this, and our good friends in Norway, Hans Rostad and Geir Furseth. Geir interviewed me for something that will air tonight in Norway, meaning that it's airing now. And we got on the subject of, people talk about energy prices, how they're so much higher today. But that's a canard, because when you go back to 2008 and you look at the price and the percentage of the price that was taxes, and you look in 2020 at the price to the customer and the percentage of that's taxes, governments have, as they did with cigarettes, have layered all these taxes on electricity. So the price to you is high, but the take that the government gets is even higher.
Right.
And as I said to Geir, if you go back to 2008, the tools that have been created that allow businesses, you, me, the crowd, to interact and connect and accomplish
It should get cheaper.
It should be a lot cheaper than it was in 2008. Instead, the cost of government in this country alone, last I checked, and it could be higher, because I don't know the COVID stuff, how that's treated. The cost of government all in, state, federal, local, in this country is above $7 trillion per year.
So like he under
It's got to be half of it wasted.
Half.
Or more.
Yeah.
And stolen.
And it's like you have a whole bunch of, you got a spoiled bunch of kids, and they come in one day and they say,
Oh, it smells like urine in there.
That's because that's what they do over here.
That's a supermarket. Oh, it's closed.
Was is the key word.
Wow, that whole supermarket is closed.
Food Emporium, didn't that used to be part of the
But this is a big apartment building here.
Jason.
Yeah, A&P,
yeah, this
right.
is right out here. This is a big apartment building.
But I'm saying this
people
is Zeckendorf.
No, people pay rent in
Oh,
here.
you know why? Because they're all going over there to Whole Foods.
Right.
Wow. Well, that's out.
Look, most everything. Here's another COVID test. Let's go into the Union Square
Yep.
for the heck of it. See what's brewing. We'll take a risk of going on the pathway. It's still up there and go up Broadway.
Sure.
Maybe. But it's really true to me that you have all these people who said, "Oh, we've got a problem. We got a Russia hoax. We got investigations, impeachments.
Right.
Get
How
done
much
with
did that cost?
COVID. We got that problem. Now
Right.
it's Ukraine.
Giving
Green
money
New
to all
Deal."
these idiots with the Q-tip. How much did that cost?
Yeah. And it's rather, we didn't really give Paul Sperry's article enough justice, but
I'm glad you're bringing it up.
this Eric Ciarmella, who figured very much in the 2016 efforts not only to go after Trump for the impeachment over his phone call to who? To Zelensky.
Right.
And now
Looking into this problem with Biden.
And we might wonder, how did that get into the public domain? Maybe Zelensky leaked it. Maybe it's, right? I mean, we shouldn't assume
Because he knows Trump is not in on their plan.
Right. And so, but you think about this Ciarmella, and they went soft. I mean, if you or I or Donald Trump or anybody they didn't want to be president had the Hunter Biden laptop problem,
Jail immediately.
well, what happened is I think the Times or somebody requested from the State Department copies of the emails or the FBI from the. Let's not get anywhere near that, dude.
What's that thing? Wait, whoa. Let's look at that.
You're an asshole!
What? Leviticus.
That's an object to art, Charles.
Object of art.
Isn't it sort of strange?
The whole.
Three-dimensional art. That guy's yelling as an asshole.
I thought he said Charles. Anyway,
Did he?
I don't know. Sounds like he's
It's a lot of legal weed here.
Right. But so back on Ciarmella, Hunter Biden laptop story. I mean, the New York Post, America's oldest newspaper, was shut off of Twitter for writing that story. You couldn't circulate the story. Finally, we get around to saying, let's look at what's on the laptop. I think elements of the Demon Rat Party want Biden out of there well before 2024, so they're happy to turn the heat up. folks make a request for the contents of the laptop, the official response from either state or somewhere comes back and says, we don't have any emails. And John Solomon's reporting today in Just the News, not so fast. We found those emails.
What do you mean? How did he find them?
Because they had I think they had access.
Rudy Giuliani had the.
Yeah, somehow he gets access to the laptop. So
Giuliani made images of the hard drive and sent them to various people. Solomon was probably one of them.
Probably was. So, but the point is the nerve of the of the Twitterverse, Google, Facebook, and others to think that they can get away with just pre-selecting this team. And who doesn't on the Biden team, the Biden victory team in 2016? Who does not have buyer's remorse at this point?
I see people on Twitter who seem to not, but I don't know if they're real.
I mean, there's one person on the cabinet is dumber, more obnoxious, and more arrogant than the next. Now you have this idiot who's running the DHS.
Who is that? That woman?
Mayorkas, who is the story that I read first said that I thought it said that the DHS was going to scour social media to find examples of people who questioned the COVID orthodoxy and questioned the results of the election. And
right.
I think I read a shading of that story that it's actually social media of employees of DHS, not of everybody in the country. I don't know what's true, but
either are bad. But
right. And then there's a story of there's a videotape, and who knows if it's real, ostensibly of the arrest of either or the investigation into either O'Keefe himself or an O'Keefe reporter, but who dared to look at the Ashley, I want to say Babbitt, but it's Ashley Biden diary.
Oh.
But they look at that. Really?
I thought they already took it from James O'Keefe.
Right, but there's a videotape of the process by which they got it. It's outrageous. The stormtroopers coming. You want to go over past?
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Go that way.
I just saw it briefly this morning.
Yeah.
So what, did they arrest James O'Keefe, or what did they do?
It might have been one of his reporters, but the point is, on the one hand, we have, you can't see anything.
But
right?
he can do all the crimes and we're not going to do anything to
right,
him.
And no reasonable prosecutor would go after Hillary Clinton because everybody's on the tape to who? Hillary Clinton.
Wow.
And it just, perhaps the objective is just rile everybody up to the point where there is a meltdown and civil war and violence, but
we're close.
Right, and what I don't understand is that in this country, I would understand doing this in Australia, where they've already taken away your guns.
Right.
But to do it here, I don't see why you'd think you're going to get away with it.
They got bigger guns in the Army.
Yeah, but at a certain point, you've got to have Americans killing other Americans.
Well, somebody said that they were, this guy Monkey Works, who is I think an ex-military something, who does a lot of work tracking planes on Flight Radar 24, said that he was tracking where these, illegal immigrants were being moved all around the country, like DeSantis was talking about. And according to this person who was watching Monkey Works, I haven't seen it myself, but apparently Monkey Works is saying that they're taking all these illegal immigrants to military bases, and the suspicion was that they could be training them to be some sort of auxiliary military force.
I certainly hope not.
That would be pretty diabolical, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but not beyond the pale for this team. Team Bite Me.
Yeah. Now, okay, but back to the Paul Sperry thing. Let's see. I don't know if you can see this, Charles, but oh wait. So in that Paul Sperry article, he had two images of Putin. Now, here, can you see this? Is Putin with Trump?
Right.
Take a look at Putin. He's smiling.
Right.
His chin is forward.
Yeah.
Right. He looks actually legitimately happy to see Donald Trump. Right. He's a guy who's interested in negotiating. And then also they showed this image of Putin with Hillary. Look at how his chin is pulled in.
I can't believe
he's very reserved.
Yeah. His body language.
I've seen him do that before.
I can't believe your Secretary of State is that body language.
But it's his body language. It's obvious discomfort. Versus with Trump, he's projecting forward. Let's see if we can work with this guy. He represents something new, something outside of this Clinton, Obama, Bush, Clinton,
Well, as I tweeted out, Hillary thought it was funny when she was sanctioned or whatever, so she tweeted some bullshit out saying,
thank you
for my
Academy."
Lifetime Achievement Award from the Russian Academy. Ha ha ha. So I tweeted back to her saying, please explain what your, in quotes, Clinton Foundation was doing in Russia starting in 2004. And by the way, you're not funny, because she's not funny. But I think Putin in particular, who I think rightly mourns what happened, the way the cockroaches from the West
Yes.
went in and stole state-owned assets in processes that were deemed legitimate because you had banks and lawyers claim they were legitimate. But I think Putin, fairly, that's nice.
You want to get one of these? Yeah.
That would probably work. You could probably cut your dining room table up and pretty quickly
It's
with
a
that.
strange thing to have there.
A little kid's jacket and
a chainsaw.
Chainsaw.
It's an antique.
yeah. And here we go. This is to make you feel comfortable, Jason. Oh, this is MTA stuff.
Is it?
It says
Why do they have these here? I guess they're working on the subway.
working, Jason.
Yeah.
They're not working.
They can text inside there and not have to worry
They're
about anybody
pretending to
seeing
work.
them.
We're about to
doing
get
nothing. Oh, boy.
a request for funding here. So let's go to your
Left.
left. Well, actually, yeah.
Get off this side. I can't believe this AMC movie theater is still open.
They just bought into a gold mine
Something's on fire.
downstairs in the subway. They're working on it, Jason. They're working on it.
Working on burning it down.
How do we burn this shit down?
There's a lot of people still wearing masks.
It's stupid.
I saw a traffic cop wearing double masks on the way over to the park.
Speaking of those traffic cops in different parts of the country who are like dancing and doing all
Yes.
that? Those are funny, those guys. They were funny.
Yeah, but is that what we want traffic cops? Let them do that on the weekend.
At least they're doing something, Jason. They're not standing there texting, I'll take the double order. Of
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts. Let's wait till these guys go. Right up the butt. So yeah, this is a lot busier on Broadway. Here's your car.
Yeah, that's a Targa. I don't really.
Is that like too low key for
The
you?
top comes off. I just don't like the back. I'm not actually crazy about the Porsche 911.
Isn't that car rather fleet of foot?
There's a wide range of those, and some of them are among the fastest cars available, and some of them you'd be surprised how unimpressive they are.
But, in a country where only in certain places can you go more than 65 miles an hour, why would you need a car like that? Unless you take it to the track.
Well, that, and also there's times that you can, blast off in those things. I do appreciate a high performance car.
I don't know what this is, Jason, but I'd be careful.
What is
A
it?
shirt, maybe? Yeah, it's probably a Brooks Brothers shirt.
Oh yeah, that's my size. Well, it's just every single indicator, Charles, is that they're moving this in the wrong direction as hard as they can push.
And that's a great segue to Charles Schwab's distant cousin, Anal Schwab.
Yes. What's happening with Anal Schwab?
Well, it's remarkable to me, and this is another thing we were talking
Hang on,
about.
I think we have a loud phone call behind us. Oh, now she stopped. Here, let's keep going.
Good. I want to make sure I screw up your show.
Somebody hit the SAP button.
Nice smell. What is that?
Some kind of meat cooking.
Really bad food. It's probably the inside of this
Down
deli, which used to. Actually, I remember getting a sandwich in here, but I think it's definitely out.
This deli is out. Yeah, this is the former location, the original location of 21st Century
Where?
3D.
The UPS box?
928.
Oh.
And this was Enslow Shoes, this bank. Do you know about that Enslow Shoes?
I don't. It sounds like it could be a Curb Your Enthusiasm.
No, it was some kind of orthopedic place.
Oh,
but
right.
You would go in there with your like Manolo Bolano or whatever,
Blahnik.
and they'd chop them in half and saw it up and do whatever. No, but they'd like make it customized so that they were like as comfortable as tennis shoes. And they had some woman from the news went in there and she's like, these are my favorite shoes, but I can only wear them in the summertime if I'm going from the apartment to a taxi to a restaurant, because standing in them hurts. And so she took them in there, and they took you through the whole process of sawing these like $2,000 shoes in half, and she was crying while they were doing that. And at the end of the segment, they give them back, and they look, you can't tell they've done anything to them, and she puts them on and runs down the street full speed in these high heel.
I mean, come on, you could have fun with that, right?
I appreciate that.
Shoes. I love these. Let me take care of that for you. Get that chainsaw from Filson.
Like, oh, it's broken.
No, you carve it into little pieces, burn it, turn it into a mash, put it into a mold, mix it with garbage.
But I like that kind of thing when somebody has gotten so meticulous on a process to do something as unexpected as that.
And, you know, when I was looking at buying it, being the first tenant in this building, look at that terrace there. Does that look strong to you?
No.
And it's the same. It's the same all the way up there.
I guess they must know what they're doing. None of these are broken off yet.
That's you know, it's probably steel under in it.
It's got to be strong. I hope somebody decided something about how to do that.
QB House Express Haircut.
Yeah, I've actually
that's
seen
the way it
a
works.
few of these
walk
around.
You stand right there, the terrace comes down, you get quite a haircut.
Yeah.
And you don't even complain because you're dead.
I've seen a few of those QB houses around.
Next to Cardellino Tailoring Shop. That's one of the smallest tailoring shops I've ever seen.
They're all pretty small. I used to go to Mr. Wong, but then I think he died because he was very old and it just was closed one day and he's never been back.
Like no
That was
Wong.
way before the pandemic.
Here's the PCR tests are getting smaller and smaller.
I know.
So what do you figure? Maybe we'll walk. You know what we do? Let's walk up to 28th.
Sure.
Because did you see that story I sent you
Which one?
about the person getting killed on 28th and 8th?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we won't go to 28th and 8th, but we'll go up to 28th and then down. And this park here, I have to say, I have many regrets in real estate and in life, things I bought and sold or got rid of that I shouldn't have. But I could see if I wanted to serve a prison term for the rest of my life here, this would not be a bad place to be incarcerated. I mean, it's...
Well, I mean, when you compare this park to Washington Square, for whatever reason, we just don't have as many jackasses on skateboards and bicycles. I mean, this is more of an enjoyable park.
You do remember, though, when we started the walkarounds. Remember that episode? We were standing over there, and these guys came up to us. And,
oh, yeah.
Right?
But they were on foot.
Yeah, that's true. I did a few interviews from tables here, actually in Russia, in 16 and 17. She's sitting like right there.
I do like this process of a dog kicking sand after it's completed the...
yeah, nothing could go wrong there.
What instinct
COVID gets out of the
causes
way.
them?
Yeah, COVID gets out of the way.
But how does the dog learn how to do that? Every dog does that, even if it's on concrete.
You have to, somebody's teaching that dog some
They
new
go to
tricks,
dog
Jake.
school,
New tricks.
and like day one, they're like, you gotta kick the feet. Nothing stretches out the gluteus maximus after a nice bowel movement. Like kicking, even concrete, trust me.
Oh boy.
Oh wow, that's funny. This little kid's got a panda bear. Everything's going China.
He identifies as a panda.
I like these guys. Mark Nelms Jazz Band. You don't like jazz? You don't like the sound of a saxophone?
Just this noise.
How about trees stuck to...
That's probably
school
you're looking
furniture?
at $450,000.
Yeah.
Probably.
There's $12 worth of garbage.
Wait a minute. This is a Hugh Hayden.
I mean,
It's a Hugh Hayden briar patch. I mean, this is easily worth. When I said 450, it's like $4.5 million. And the pigeon, you know, have the pigeons choreographed to fly in here and take a shit on these chairs.
it really is stupid. I mean, I'm sorry. Hugh Hayden might be some
Probably
very
standing-
high-minded
probably
artist,
sitting
but
right behind us. growing.
Maybe so, but I'll tell him this is stupid.
You're
I'm
right.
sorry.
You're right. Basically, it's fucking stupid.
Yeah,
Try
he's
graffiti.
Gluing trees to chairs. Put the whole thing in the garbage and go paint
You gotta
something.
pronounce it correctly. Garbage. Now, lawn clothes. That's a real artist.
This is a work over here.
We're getting close to Chelsea
Yeah.
Clinton's abode,
Lair.
coven. It's kind of when I was back in 81, 82, I don't think the park was open, actually. It might have been, but it was
There was a time that they closed it, right? Because it was so,
it was just dirt,
yeah.
garbage, and overgrown. And but then they put in lawns and stuff. But look at all these strollers, nannies.
Well, that one's much better.
We'll do it twice.
Yeah, it's the first one was so good. We just had to.
And
that's
there's
the
going to be
sequel.
somebody, and it's probably either a second wife or a second husband, who says, "Oh, darling, we've got to have that Hayden."
Yeah.
You know, Missy has a Hayden. I need a Hayden. Well, how much? What are we looking at here? Oh, you can't talk about money.
If you have to ask,
If
Joe.
you have to, exactly. You won't get me a Hayden?
It's just
I'll tell you what I
tacky
will
to
get.
ask.
I'll get you a divorce.
How about a Hunter Biden instead?
That's right.
You should put some crack all over that.
That's right. You get $250,000 worth of crack.
Sprinkle Parmesan cheese on the branches. Wow, this is a
Look at
fluffy.
this park. Stroller gridlock, Jason.
That's like 20 pounds of fluff on that dog. Yeah, this is a nice, like fairly
That's
new.
nice.
The kids really enjoying that.
Yeah, it's nice to see. And as I started to say, when I walked around Kharkiv, walked around Kiev, walked around Odessa, I had many nice days like this. Actually, I was typically there in the summer. And it's really, in some ways, heart-wrenching to see what's going on. But
Oh,
I would
yeah.
caution people that we don't know who's blowing up these buildings.
Right.
We don't know, who's killing these people. And before you rush to the conclusion that it's Russians,
Right.
understand that the Russians aren't saying there, yeah, we need $14 billion worth of aid tomorrow.
Well, and not only that, back to this video that Zelensky showed. This is like deception 101.
Sure.
We, show an injured kid and then a rocket hitting a building, and then, like you said, we don't know who did that or who. And we hear all these reports, 1,000 Russians dead. How do we know if that's correct or not?
I mean, Ukrainians did, but it's and it's the same business model for Unitaid and for the Clinton Foundation, UNICEF. Slap a starving, skinny kid, preferably black skin, on the cover of an annual report. For good measure, put in a few flies buzzing around their eyes.
This is a
And
really funny outfit on this dog. He looks like he's going to space.
the greyhound, right?
Yeah. Is it a greyhound or a whippet?
I don't know.
I can never tell with those.
You're the dog expert, but
I'm not.
But so on these efforts to get money, you slap the skinny, crying kid on the front cover. You have some flies buzzing around.
Exactly. It's almost like a cheap.
And they do it all the time. There should be a law against that. It's saying like, if you want to raise money, and there are a lot. Actually, we should talk about this. There have been a number of indictments. I was looking up a new angle for going after the Clinton Foundation that I don't want to disclose right now, but I uncovered quite a few incidents now where crooked charities are being taken to task.
Right.
There's the one in Boston where a very prominent BLM person got involved with
Oh yeah,
a
the
charity.
Wu-Tang Clan or whatever that
Yeah,
was.
he is getting taken down for that, and there's another one, I forget where,
Who was that person? I was like, what is this? Wu-Tang?
I forget. But I mean, there are now, and there's one in Minnesota where they're getting taken down for basically saying that there's there's another one I found where these guys were saying, give us stuff and we'll make sure that it's a charity. In reality, it's a store. And collected $1.1 billion worth of stuff and sold it.
What?
Yeah, and they got, we'll go that way.
Man, I saw these little kids selling cupcakes with yellow and blue, and they were like, oh, all the money
Where?
goes to Ukraine.
Where's your determination
Fifth
letter?
Avenue.
Where's your determination letter?
Right. I didn't want to get into it with him, but first of all, you shouldn't be selling that stuff on the street. People shouldn't be buying that stuff. You shouldn't have little girls out on the street doing business transactions with people, weirdos walking around in New York City. You got little girls with cash. It's just a terrible idea on every level.
And it is. Well, you can start with the city. It's a terrible idea.
This is a nice little French place they have organic wine in there.
Why would you want that?
It doesn't have the,
Good taste?
No, what is the preservative that they put in wine?
I don't know.
I like it better.
The Smith.
This place is noisy as hell because it's all ceramic tile.
Right. But it's a little bit more busy. I mean, it's not 5 yet.
This place is usually screaming out
But it's
the
not
door.
yet 5.
That's not busy for that.
Okay. So, note to people who are thinking about having their honeymoon in New York, don't bring your bride to the Broadway Plaza Hotel.
Charles, I was going to wear that exact outfit.
Is that your car?
That's even better than mine. That's the Hemi. No.
That's what used to be a Hemi. Here's another good look, Jason, to your left.
That's the other outfit I was going to wear.
That wig.
Quadruple XL leopard print. That's a special order, Charles.
It doubles as a curtain.
Yeah, for the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus.
Exactly. Yeah, so here we are up in 28th. I suppose we could take the risk of going in daylight in 28th and 8th.
So this is the other thing that's happening. Everywhere they're advertising now betting. I noticed, and actually this guy is so funny. There's an ad for like Caesar's Palace now has online betting.
Oh, betting. I thought you meant betting. I'm like, what the hell?
Betting, gaming.
Like,
but
you
they
got
have
sheets,
that.
You got blankets, you got...
You know that guy who hangs out with Larry David, JB Smoove?
Yeah.
He is so funny.
Right.
That when I saw the picture of him on the bus for
He's playing Caesar.
Caesar's gambling, I was like, you know what? This guy's a good spokesman because he's so funny that just when I see a picture of him, I'm like, that guy is hilarious. And it caught my attention. But why all this gambling suddenly legal? That came about during the pandemic. And there's another cop on the phone. And here, look at this. They're just texting.
Let's go, Jason.
I'm not going to say anything to him, but this guy's about 100 pounds overweight.
I know.
That guy's about 75 pounds overweight, and they're just standing around, texting, doing absolutely nothing.
But they're doing it for you, Jason. Protect,
I know that.
Honor, and serve. What is that motto? Protect, something, and serve?
Well, it's courtesy, professionalism, and respect, but that's as if my motto was like, flying, being 8 feet tall, and... Huh? Yeah, how does that place stay in business?
Chances are they're
teddy
not
bears.
selling any of that.
Right. Hey, now look at this. This is like straight out of an Asian...
Well, it's a wholesale center, Jason.
Right, but when you go to like Japan or Singapore, they have these indoor malls that are kind of like multiple floors going up.
Guy didn't look too happy.
No, he didn't, did he?
Now this is I believe this is the Plant and Junk Center.
26th is the plants.
Well, the plant's up here too, I think. Quiet. Relatively quiet, but apparently, what happened? Somebody got shot?
Stabbed, I thought?
Was it stabbed?
I don't remember. It's hard to keep track, Charles.
Right.
Somebody, Joe from the New York Freedom Fighters, posted a video on Instagram from the subway of a guy, homeless guy, laying on the bench and just opens his pants and urinates out on the floor in the middle of the subway.
Oh, yeah, standard. Yeah. And it's like nobody's going to do anything about it.
Right. What has Eric Adams done? How long has he been mayor? He's just going on TV telling people to eat a plant-based centered life.
And his new thing is he wants to see baseball be 50% men and 50% women. That's his new idea.
To do what? Baseball?
Yeah.
Like professional baseball?
Right.
What the hell does that have to do with being the mayor of New York?
He must be a baseball fan.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
He's not, I mean, there's never going to be a long book entitled The Wit and Wisdom of Eric Adams. It's gonna be the
He's one of the dumbest people.
I didn't vote for him.
We got to put him in line, I mean, in perspective with Joe Biden, but
Yeah, at least the guy can utter a sentence. I mean,
No.
I shudder to think, well, we'll walk, I mean, he can actually. Biden can.
not-
You stand up there and say, the husband of the first lady has
no,
got
Eric
COVID.
Adams is pretty close to as stupid as Joe Biden. He's 30 years younger or 20 years younger.
See, there's the plant stuff there. International Garden? This is where you're supposed to say, I stand corrected.
Well, but it's down there, though.
Right
yeah,
there.
that, right, but that's not over there.
Over here. Same
Oh,
over here.
all right.
You can say, I stand corrected later, if you want.
Well, I will if I'm corrected.
You're going to
but,
see right here, it's all plants.
Okay, but now we're somewhere else. Before.
No, I said 28th Street.
Oh, you said this. I said 26.
Flora Supply.
All right, you're right.
Thank you.
I stand corrected.
I have to, I get it only once in a while do I hear people say, Charles, you're right.
I say
So I
that
gotta
all
really
the time.
milk them. So this I don't get. I mean, how do you get to do this? You're not paying rent on the sidewalk.
That's a good point. This neighborhood is unique in that.
I don't think there's any graft.
I think people like it because you feel like you're in the forest for a minute. Oh, it smells nice
It
too.
does smell nice, yeah. I wonder who buys this.
Every restaurant and hotel and anybody who. They have a whole cactus store here, Charles.
Yeah, but it's not like, this is necessarily going to be clean because it's out here.
Don't you think putting a cactus in your New York City apartment is about the stupidest idea you could
It's
have?
even stupider than putting a New York apartment in an Arizona desert.
Yeah.
Of course, go ahead.
You make a left too quickly, you're going to get, cactus up the
Right.
derriere.
Yeah, so here we are. This is half a block away from where I believe that.
The latest murder?
And what do you think safer? Probably across the street as opposed to.
Well, let's see. 26th is the homeless thing, so yeah, we're all right here.
I'm just saying, rather than go interior.
Well, it's just too much construction there.
Hayden.
Michael
Maybe
Hayden?
that's the guy who did the Hayden sculpture, the Hayden Hotel.
All right.
Maybe he made enough money with the sculptures to do the hotel. Or maybe he's a dilettante who did the hotel
Mykonos
first.
Blue Rooftop. That sounds like a Greek restaurant.
It does
is
not
that even
particularly sound like it would be anything like Mykonos, however.
German Shepherd dog lover is saying that the plants clean the air. That's true.
They do, not this air.
A little bit. It is nicer among these plants.
Yeah, but this air, the air in this city is so rancid. See, a lot of plants. Roses.
Wholesale roses, right. Wow, they're beautiful.
Say they're beautiful, they're not going to cost you 3 times normal.
Aren't those really nice looking roses?
Yeah, they are.
Oh, okay. And it's close? Yeah.
And now we're
It's
out.
a really nice looking Volvo. Do you see, speaking of that, which is a little bit off color, some bunch of feminists have decided that they're not making this up, that rocket ships, there are too many rocket
Too
ships.
phallic?
Yeah, so they're not going to make
Shape it like a vagina?
Right.
Yeah, nobody cares about aerodynamics.
But I'm sure they got a grant.
Let's
for
launch
that.
a pocket into the sky. How could that go wrong?
I'm sure it's a grant. Grantapalooza. Probably, Melinda Gates is like, I'm all in.
The vagina rocket.
$1 billion. Hillary's like, I'd go for that. We'll put Biden in it. First
Yeah.
man in outer space.
Bill's going to test it. It's like, oh, this one didn't work. So where was it? 28th and 8th?
Right here. Oh, it's this 7th, so one more we go.
Yeah. Well, that actually is a bit of a rough neighborhood.
Should we not go there?
No, we should go now. I mean, but it's like you were saying
Famous
at
last
night.
words.
Well,
We should go
I
now.
mean, look, right now I think it's fine
It's like Rodney Dangerfield.
because there's people out and everything. But at night, when it's going to be, less than half this many people around and it's dark,
I think it was like 9 p.m.
right? I mean, as soon as the sun goes down, that's when the maniacs are out.
They fixed that place up.
Well, this is brand new. I don't know what they intend to put in there. I guess offices.
I guess they're putting something else new there.
Yeah, bad timing, it would seem.
So what is your guesstimate as to whether the Russia and Ukraine thing is close to a peace? They were saying it's close to a peace.
Well, Lavrov said they were close on some things, but then, okay, so this is what you and I were talking about before we started, and I wanted to ask you about it. So one of the things that Russia said that would be a component of a peace settlement or whatever is for Ukraine to be neutral, and they said no. I don't understand why.
So this
That's an absolute classic in terrible condition, Toyota MR2.
It's in 1994, in that original agreement, the principle was that Ukraine would not join NATO. Not only Ukraine, but the former Soviet Union, the Warsaw Pact states would not join NATO. That was the principle.
Right.
And as with anything else, you know, when I got involved selling companies in the early 80s, the approach was, because there weren't that many, the merger and acquisition activity wasn't that high, and it cost a fair amount of money to do the diligence on a company before you own it, and then to hire lawyers and outside experts to check, you know, the history, the legal history of the company, and then the accounting history, and the pension experts, and this and that. So the way it used to work is you would, first you do a teaser, like maybe a 2 to 5 page memo you send by letter to people and say, you know, here's a rough outline of what we're selling, and if you're interested, you're gonna have to sign a confidentiality letter, and we'll give you a book. And then it's, you know, thick book with a lot more information. The reason you do that is more often than not, you get the best price from a competitor, and you don't want to give away to all your competitors. You know, particularly if it's a private company, you don't want to give away.
And
right?
then they know what
So
you're
you go
doing,
through
and
these
then
steps.
they go away.
You go through these steps.
Right.
So I came up with the brainwave when what you do is you would then whittle it down, like with an apartment or a house, you'd whittle it down to one preferred bidder. And you'd say, okay, now we'll give you the contract and we'll give you schedules. In a merger and acquisition deal, the most important thing typically, once you get into diligence, maybe we should cross again.
Yeah, there's something going on there.
Construction. Yeah.
It's like mixing cement or something.
You have, I mean, I'm making it very simplified, but you have in the document, the purchase and sale agreement, you'll say, except as is mentioned in Schedule J-1, the company is in full compliance and has set aside all required cash for any outstanding tax liability in connection with this period and that period and another period, right?
Right.
And so what matters is what's in Schedule J-1. So,
Charles, they've invented the vagina rocket right here.
So when you send the steps where you have the book, you'd pick somebody, you give them a contract without the schedules. And they would say, well, you know, I can't really give you my comments until I see the stuff in the schedules. And you have this whole long dance where the preferred bidder would be able to jerk your chain, because once you have a business that's out in the market for a while,
Right.
and it hasn't been sold yet,
People get some stink on it.
right. So I said, well, why don't we do this? Instead of doing it that way, let's pre-qualify like 5 people, and let's give all 5 the contract with the schedules. So they can't give us that wiggle room, and then let's have them give the comments on the contract with the schedules. And anybody who doesn't want to spend the money to do that is not a serious bidder anyway.
Right.
Because if you're selling a business for $100 million and you can't spend, for
Whatever
$500
on
million,
the-
you can't spend $1 million on a legal bill,
Right.
then you're not going to buy it.
Right.
So similarly with this, it's a long-winded story, but now this right here is where the
Right.
incident occurred.
But let's just soak in this area for a moment. That is government subsidized housing.
Right.
That is.
And this would not be, you got a construction site, so you got people can hide over here.
Hanging
so
around 'cause
not
there's
a
a lack
smart
of
place
security.
to be at night. But
And
this,
the legal weed over here.
which I've seen, yeah. So back then on the question of, 'cause I don't want to lose my train of thought, on Ukraine and Russia, you wouldn't hold a meeting on a ceasefire unless you gotten way further down than where they already are.
Knowing what they want.
And you shouldn't be announcing, you shouldn't put these balloons out that Russia's at its wit's end and they can't do anymore, or Ukraine, whatever Russia's saying about Ukraine. I mean, lay out the elements of the ceasefire. You know that it's very important for Russia that there not be Polish bases, as is the case now in Poland.
NATO bases.
U.S. bases,
Yeah.
Camp Trump or Fort Trump they're talking about in Poland. Russia,
Really?
Yeah. He offered that. The Poles offered that when he was president.
It's called.
No, it hasn't been done yet, but so this whole thing, as you would expect, because you got knuckleheads. I mean, Anthony Blinken is less qualified to be Secretary of State than one of these ladies is on the corner here.
Well, give him a couple more puffs and they'll be
Right.
better than him.
Or this guy ambling down the street here. I mean, he's a fucking knucklehead, and so they haven't set it up to win.
Yeah.
And so on the one hand, the Ukrainians, they realize, particularly as they see that with a movie and an appearance in a virtual session with Trudeau and now with the U.S. or whatever.
It's so ridiculous.
It's like having, you have Jerry Lewis's appeal for money constantly. They've
Right.
got a flow of money coming in, and they're going to believe they're hyped. They do have the home field advantage. It's generally tougher to conquer
Right.
and hold territory than it is
To hold it.
defend it. And so they're going to believe that they're in good shape, even if they're not.
There's something else strange. He said in the Congress meeting that he wanted S-300s, but that's a Russian missile system. Why is he asking U.S. Congress for that?
I don't know.
And why do you want Russian stuff to fight the Russians? That's 2 generations old. Don't they probably know how to defeat their own thing?
I don't know, but again, what I object to here is on so many levels. First of all, the United States should be in a position where we set, I believe we're still number 1 economically, falling fast politically.
Right. Oh, well.
Right. Let's just wait, so I don't want to be right up.
Sure.
And we should be able to, a good president, a good administration will be able to set the agenda. You don't wake up and say, oh, well, I got to get back. I can't go to Ireland and meet with, do St. Patty's Day in Ireland, or I can't leave Washington.
Was he supposed to do that?
I'm just making that up. Because Zelensky decides he wants to
Right.
address
Like he's
at 9
pulling the
o'clock.
president of the United States.
I mean, when was the last time, and it's interesting, on the 9 o'clock session, Psaki was quoted as saying, well, if Joe has time in his schedule, he's going to watch it. Joe doesn't get up probably before 9. Barack didn't show up typically until well after 9. So I object to just the whole lack of management, the chaotic way in which this is being managed. And again, there's suffering all over the planet, including, as Tucker rightly points out,
Stinks over here.
yeah, it's a cleaning fluid or something, including, as Tucker has pointed out on his show repeatedly and validly, on our southern border, there's a fucking war zone down there. The cartels are in control of vast swaths of our territory on our southern border, and we won't send money for that.
Or military, but get them all over to Ukraine.
No, remember we canceled. I mean, at the beginning, he cancels a contract. It was largely done, leaving hundreds of millions of crap ready to be put up. He cancels that, but we're going to send $13 billion to Ukraine to
It's
defend
ridiculous.
its borders. I mean, you got to be kidding me.
I don't know how anybody is not outraged. I know everybody watching our show is, but I don't know how people are standing for this.
Well, because we just, what can you do? People tried to vote. We saw what happened in 2020.
Yeah.
We saw when we got Trump in there. He did get the job done.
I guess we just need to eat a plant-based life.
And bugs.
And bugs.
Right.
And shit smoothies or whatever Bill
Right.
Gates'
Anal swab.
latest. Yeah.
But I think, Ted
Well, that'll be the
Malik-
swizzle stick is the anal swab.
we had Ted Malik on a while back, and when we get back into the business of doing in-studio stuff, we should do
Yeah,
more.
that would be good.
But he knows from the inside that World Economic Forum is a farce. I think it's a criminal enterprise.
Well, absolutely. But what do you mean from the inside?
He was the executive director of it.
But because Zelensky was calling for some kind of new, he's like, forget about NATO. We want a new international
Forget
coalition
him.
that can intervene with pandemics and this kind of thing. It's like, wait a minute. Aren't
shut
you
up.
a schmuck who was a comedian 2 years ago
Dancing
and
with the
is the
Stars
president of like the least influential country in the world? Why are you
Right, and
calling
most
for some
corrupt.
international body that's gonna tell me what to do? Like, just like go away.
He's for the money. He's like Michael Avenatti.
Right.
Remember him? he was all over the news, and people were talking, he's going to run for president. He was saying that he was the king of trash talk.
You know what? And you know what, Charles? I have a feeling he's going to be just like Michael Avenatti, and that the crash is going to be epic.
What's his first name?
Vladimir?
Zelensky. But yeah, pretty amazing that he's getting this much airtime.
Yeah.
And where's the accounting for all these weapons? I mean, the very same people trying to take away our guns are happy to flow guns into Ukraine. Nobody knows where they're going to go.
It's crazy.
And people have to, at this point, level-headed people have to be looking at this and
Where are they?
Around the world, people who care about money and wise investors who look at this and say, you know, this America is now a joke. It's not even a swamp.
Absolutely.
It's a toilet bowl.
I think people know that. Charles, this is an extremely fancy dog in a Maserati. Look at that.
That dog is styling.
He's got his nose turned up at us.
I didn't know FIT was part of the State University of New York.
I don't think that I really knew that either.
And here's something like, you know, here we are around the corner, we walk by where somebody just got stabbed. I don't know about to death.
Let's call for
And the
weed.
criminals are here, you know, they're obviously overwhelmed and scared of our police forces. I mean, you put your phone number
Exactly.
here, right? And you say you need cannabis. You know, by the way, that's not legal, but if you need it, here's who you contact, and it's still here, the sign. No cop is like, you can't tear tear yourself away from your phone. So say, you know what, why don't I call that number, order some cannabis, and then arrest the motherfucker.
And you know what? There was a story in the New York Post that somebody on Tinder or one of these things, that the woman got the guy back to her apartment and
knifed her and
killed him, tortured him, and killed him.
Because he had, ostensibly because America had killed Qasem Soleimani.
Yeah, I mean, that just sounds made up to me, but...
I guess this young lady didn't get the message.
Right.
Not part of the team. Light, blue jeans.
Well, we're pretty close to the end of the line here, Charles. Anything you want to discuss before we wrap it up?
Well, just to say, I think there are going to be some revelations coming out on Durham and the Clinton Foundation.
What have we heard from Durham lately?
Well, he continues to press hard, and they continue to investigate the Clinton campaign. And, you know, I think the canvas is a lot bigger than they originally thought. And perhaps Merrick Garland will just shut everything down.
I think that's right.
Perhaps he won't, though.
He's a dope. Well, Charles, you know, Lee is recovering from a stroke. I spoke with him. He sounds good, but he needs some more time to get back to the show. He's doing physical therapy. He put out a tweet this morning. People can check him out on Twitter @Stranahan, but we're not going to do High Dive tonight. So this is going to be the last show for today.
Good.
But if people didn't get a chance to see my show yesterday, I did a little Ghost Town NYC walk around talking about the stupid Mario Brothers, and then I did a really lengthy counter lawfare episode that people can still see on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And actually more than one person told me they thought it was the best show I ever did. I'm going to be offering a very special NFT to anybody who wants to sponsor the counter lawfare fund for the top sponsorship amount of $1,000.
Wow.
You know, now that the lawsuit against me in the Southern District of New York was dropped and the claim was dropped with prejudice, that's a release of the claim and an admission that I own the intellectual property for the classic artwork Deep State Dunces and Iran Contra Crazies. So I'm going to offer NFTs of those two.
Cool.
And it's a great way for people to help me fight lawfare. Anybody who saw the show last night has a better understanding of how serious this is. It's not a joke. It's not an internet beef. This is a serious deal. And I hope that people will tune in and watch it. And Charles, thanks for another great show.
Thank you, Jason. Glad we're safe.
Take it easy, everybody. Oh, yeah, and I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to have John Mark Dugan tomorrow. He hasn't gotten back to me yet, but he's like in the middle of a war zone. So we'll see what happens. Stay tuned, everybody. Thanks for